Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Bande Guru Paramparam. Om. Continuing the answer to the question that was asked about the Ratha Kalpana, the symbolism of this chariot example. This has been elaborated in an Upanishad called the Kathopanishad. The whole symbolism demonstrates our journey of life called the Jiva Yatra. If our journey has to be successful, our body should be fit, and our body represents the chariot. The driving force are the sense organs. The sense organs need to be controlled by the mind, which represents the reins, and the reins are controlled by it. We have an option, my lower self or the higher self. Arjuna put Shri Krishna on the driver's seat. Can I put Shri Krishna or my higher self on the driver's seat? When Shri Krishna or the higher I is the driver of my life, the direction of my life is very clear. I am directed towards the path of moksha or freedom, which is called Shreyas, and not the pleasant path or prayas. This is the symbolism of the Ratha Kalpana or the Jiva Yatra. The chariot symbolizes the body, the horses are the sense organs, the reins are the mind. The chariot here is the intellect, which could be the higher self, and the road is the sense objects. The options are Shreyas, or Prayas. Prayas is the pleasant path which can take me to bondage. Shreyas is the path can take me to freedom. Quick recap of what we studied in the last class. The main theme of the last class was what are the qualifications required for a student of spirituality. The most important qualification is number 4 on your slides, called mumukshutvam, or either tivra mumukshutvam. Is that desire very strong in me that I want moksha and nothing else? And if that desire is very strong, all the other qualifications like viveka and vairagya. Viveka is a choice between the permanent and the impermanent. Vairagya means I'm no longer going to invest all my time on the impermanent. The world is good for service, for education, for entertainment. But if I want permanent peace, security, and happiness, I will go to the permanent, which is the God principle or Brahman. Am I ready to put whatever discipline that is required? Sense control, mind control, shraddha or trust in the Guru, mental fitness called titiksha, a single pointed mind called samadhana, or lack of interest in everything else, but I'm focused in whatever that I need to do. If I have these qualifications, then I am on the right path for the spiritual pursuits. We also studied that delightful mantra which is recommended before eating food called Annapurne Sadapurne. Another beautiful mantra that we know, O Asatoma Sadgamaya. Can we move from that which appears to be real to that which is real? And finally, the very difficult mantra, Om Purnamada Purnamidam. Bhagwan is infinite. I am also infinite. To understand the full import, let us be a little patient as we go through some more Upanishads. It becomes very clear. Before we continue in this class, I would just like you to just sit in a comfortable position. Just become aware of your body posture. Keep your back upright. Keep your feet flat on the ground. Allow your bodies to be so loose and relaxed. This is what we call an open eye meditation. Be very sensitive to all the sounds that you might hear. At the same time, be very sensitive to all the conversations that are going on in the mind. If you have to be a good listener, somehow we need to silence the conversation in your mind. We can simultaneously be listening to the subject that is going on in front, or we could be listening to that internal dialogue that is going on in the mind. As I'm aware of both, I can consciously tell my mind to be silent. Let me be focused on this object. And as I welcome all of you to the fourth class, if so many of you have been there for this fourth class, which is almost 50% of our program, I'm confident that you will be there for the rest of this introductory program, where we build up the program in a very good sequence so that the foundation of Vedanta is very clear. Today we study all the anatma aspects. That means whatever I can see and experience is called anatma. We talk about shariratraya, avastatraya, kosha panchakam, which means the three bodies, the three states of consciousness, and the 5 sheaths. It will be elaborated in detail. Our teacher Swami Param suggests that we continue to use the Sanskrit words while we know the English meaning of all of them, so that when these words are there in the scriptural literature, we immediately are able to understand what it is. This program is going to be very basic, very fundamental. It is very terminology based. I want all your attention. It is like going to a first-year medical school. And this is the key to the understanding of all the Upanishads. The Upanishads say that we do not live in one world, but we live in 3 worlds. That is what is called Tripura. And in each of these 3 worlds, we live in 3 different bodies. I will have eminent doctors who will be able to explain these things to you. Even though we look at this from a scientific angle, the more we see it, you will be able to appreciate the wisdom of the ancient sages. And all this wisdom is come in a book by Adi Shankara called Tattva Bodha. To explain these 3 bodies, I have an eminent cardiologist and Dr. Sanjay Mehrotra from Narayana Hridayalaya to explain to you. Dr. Sanjay, please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Hegde. My salutations to you and welcome to all participants of this webinar. As an inquisitive human being, we all have a natural curiosity, which is called as jignasa pravritti, to know what is this creation. Is there a creator of the universe? If there is a God, where is he? And what will happen to me after my death? A knowledge which provides this information we call as a higher knowledge. In Sanskrit, we call it Paravidya. Usually, all this knowledge is contained in our Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita. To understand this knowledge, one has to know certain language and terminology which is contained in a shastra called Tattva Bodha. Tattva Bodha means knowledge of reality. And there are 2 aims of this Tattva Bodha. It is to provide self-knowledge, to introduce the terminology which is used in studying the Vedanta. And the question which we asked is, what is Atma? What is Anatma? Here today, we describe the Anatma part, which is called as Shariratrayam. And the later part, Atma, would be dealt with, which is the main subject of Vedanta. Now, what is Shariratrayam? While we study medicine, we study various parts of our body anatomically. Now, the Shastras also divide the Anatma part of the body in 3 parts. The first one is called as Shariratrayam. It has 3 divisions. The second is called the Kosha Panchakam, which has 5 divisions. And the third one is called Avastatrayam, which is 3 parts. Here, I shall explain the Shariratrayam. Shariratrayam means 3-fold body of a human being. And it has first part, which is a gross body. We call it Sthula Shariram. Next one is a subtle body. We call it Sukshma Shariram. And the third one is called as the Karana Shariram, also called as the causal body. And a student asks a question to the author, Sthula Shariram Kim? The gross body is made up of 5 elements, which are described in various other religions as well. The first one is Akasha, or space. The second one is Vayu or air. Third one is Agni or fire, Jalam or water, and Prithvi or earth. This is also called as Sthula Panchabhutani or Bhautika Shariram, and it is tangible to me as well as to others. It is observable to the Indriyas, and that is why it is called as Indriya Gocharam. What is added to these part is an individual. In each individual, there is a karma phala which get added from this life as well as from the previous life. And that credit of that is papa and punya comes in the form of a special characteristic to that individual, and he becomes a special individual. We also call it Vishesha Karana. Now, what are the functions of this gross body? The only function this gross body has is to carry the Atma, or the combination is called as the Jivatma. What is the nature of this Sthula Sharira? As I said, the gross body is only a temporary abode for an individual. It can be compared to a house on lease. Vikaravat etat Sthula Shariram. This body is subject to various modifications, and there are 6 types. The first one is Asti, Jayate, Vardate, Viparanimate, Apakshiyate, and Vinashyati. Asti means we have a potential of our existence when we are in the womb of our mother. It gets born after it comes out in the world, which is Jayate. Vardate means it grows up to a certain age. Viparanimate stays in one shape up to a certain age, and Apakshiyate then starts decaying and disintegrates, and ultimately perishes or dies and merges into the 5 elements from which it started from, and that is what we call as Vinishyati. This is what we call as physical body. Etat Sthula Shariram. What is Sukshma Shariram? Why do we call it subtle? Because it is not perceptible to our sense organs. It is Indriya Agocharam. Mind, for example, basically brain is a gross matter, but it has the mind. Is my mind perceptible to me? Most of the time, yes, but it is not perceptible to others. So it is not perceptible to others. Now, how is this subtle body created? It is created by the same 5 elements, but those elements are also in the Sukshma form. And I have given a bit of a diagram here where you see that Sthula Shariram is a physical structure, which is the gross body, which is 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space. And the Sukshma Shariram, for example, are mind, intellect, ahankara, ego. It also has the 5 elements, but in the subtle form. Along with it, it also has result of your action, the karma phala, which is papa and punya. Now the Sukshma Shariram goes through experiences, creates memories, likes and dislikes, happiness and unhappiness, and gives an identity to you and you become a person, or you call it a personality. And you get a name also, and there comes the sense of me and mine. Now this Sukshma Shariram has been divided into 17 plus 2 components. For example, the 5 sense organs, which are called as the Jnanendriyas, 5 organs of action, which are Karmendriyas, 5 subtle energies, which are pranas, intellect, manaha, which is the doubting faculty, and some have added 2 more, which is ahankara and chitta, making it ekonavish, which is 19 elements. We're not going to discuss the details of this, which probably would be a part of another discussion later in our program. Now, what happens to body after death? The gross body goes through modifications described in the Shadvikaras, apakshiyate, vinashyati, and goes back to the 5 elements. What happens to the Sukshma Shariram? It is long lasting. It travels many lives, finds another body, and goes through the same process of karta, bhokta, creates papa and punya, and goes through a process of punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Now, what is the last one, which is the karanam shariram, or the causal body? This is the seed form of the gross and the subtle body, and that is why we call it Karanam Shariram. It is a bit difficult to understand, but let's just keep this as this understanding. This is the seed form of the gross and the subtle body, and it is everlasting. At the beginning of the time, when the matter manifests and creates the universe according to science, our Shastra says here the subtle and gross get separated. And to some extent, modern science is trying to understand, and maybe they will reach somewhere. But our rishis have understood it much, much long ago. What is before creation, after destruction of the universe? Pralayam. In scientific language, it's also called its singularity, where the gross matter and subtle matter are unmanifest, remains in the seed form. Now, if I give you an example of a mango tree, the seed contains the gross structure of the tree, which is the branches, the trunk, the leaves. But it also carries the sukshma part, which is the taste for that mango. For example, if the leaves have some kind of medicinal property, if not mango of another tree, it carries the subtle form. So the sthula shariram becomes a tree, has leaves, shapes, form, and produces fruit. And fruits, sukshma shariram, fruits have a certain taste and flavor. And leaves may have certain smell. That is the sukshma part. And when it gets manifest in the form of a tree, it becomes the manifest world. In unmanifest form, it is in the seed form. And this is what we are also made up of, a karanam shariram, which is a combination of sthula and sukshma. Hence, we complete the discussion for Sharira Trayam. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanjay. That was a very excellent explanation of the three bodies. I know it is not very easy to understand. For a few minutes, I will leave this open for discussion. I will have a small group of people who have access to me. If there is anything to speak on the discussion of Dr. Sanjay's presentation.
Hello, Doctor. Hello, everybody. My name is Viksha. I'm a student. Doctor, I had a few questions for you. The first one being, in Dr. Sanjay Mehrotra's presentation, he had spoken about what happens to the body after a person dies. So if you could a little explain and elaborate on that topic.
So in this talk, we heard that we don't have just one body, but we have three bodies. So during death, according to Vedanta, what really dies is our gross body that we can see. There is the subtle body which survives the death. There is the subtle and the causal body. Now, there is no good example, but I can give you an example of the mobile telephone and the SIM card. In our own experience, we have had a number of mobile telephones, but then once the phone is not working, we take out the SIM card. The moment we take out the SIM card, the phone is as good as dead. Now, that is what happened. The SIM card is like the subtle and the causal body, which contains all the information of our past transaction, our ID, and so on. And it is this SIM or the subtle body which goes and travels, and this creates a cycle of punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Now, if we have to get out of this cycle of continuous birth and rebirth, Vedanta says if you get spiritual knowledge, it is possible to get out. That is why we need to know about these bodies, the gross body, what really happens at the time of death, what survives death, and so on.
Thank you, Doctor. My next question to you is, so you spoke about the importance of the three bodies. Why is it important to learn about the three bodies?
Why is it important to learn about these three bodies? Because these terms come in our scriptures. It comes in the Bhagavad Gita. And when you come across these terms and when you are discussing with the teacher, all of us should be very clear about these terms. When the teacher explains to you, there is no confusion about these terms. So we really need to know. Sometimes you may understand, you may not wonder, how can we live in different bodies? To give you an example, I would like you to see your own photograph. Your parents would have photographs of you when you were a newborn baby, a small little girl when you're going to school for the first time. And then as you look at the sequential photographs, you will see your body has undergone so much change But in and through all these bodies, there is one constant factor that is always there. And that is why you will see from all these experiences, you will learn that the body is mine, I am not the body. The scriptures slowly try to convey to us that I am the indweller in the body. Krishna, in the second chapter, when Arjuna is in a dilemma that he has to get to war, when he has to kill his relatives, Krishna tries to clearly tell him that you are someone other than the body. The verse goes like, Dehi nosmin yata deha kaumaram yovanam jara. That means the body goes through youth, old age, and so on. But the indweller of the body continues to survive in and through all these bodies. So what we are studying now is what we call is what we can experience, the anatma part.
Okay, then doctor, if we are not the body, then who am I?
According to the scriptures, if you're not the body, we are the indweller in the body. Now, this topic will come in the next class. I will request you to be a little patient for the next class. The next class is the fifth in our series, will be the hero of our discussion, where we introduce what is this Atma, the indweller, the real me who uses this body for transaction. So we will study about that in the next class. Right now, we will proceed to the next topic. Just give me one moment. And the next topic will be about the three Shariratrayam. I gave you this little example, and I'm not sure if you're able to see my slide. I told you about the subtle body, like the SIM card and the phone. We go to the next topic, what is called Avastha Trayam, or the three states of experiences. I already said we live in three worlds called Tripura. And in Tripura, we live in three different bodies. What is this three worlds that we live in? Here is a picture of Shiva who's destroying the three worlds. The three worlds that we live in, what are these three worlds or the three states of consciousness? To explain that, I have Dr. Kiran. Dr. Kiran is a neurosurgeon working with us at Narayan Shridharya, Narayana Institute of Neurosciences, a senior consultant neurosurgeon and a skilled neurosurgeon. Dr. Kiran, please explain to us what is Avastha Trayam.
Thank you. Hari Om, Guru Bhyo Namaha. Knowing the self is the greatest journey one can embark upon. It essentially involves study of relation of I with the world and the God. What is the role of God and where does he come into it? And we can divide it into Atma and Anatma. Atma is the study of real I. We'll first start with Anatma, which is easy and tangible to understand. It deals with the world we see and experience, including our body, which we have just studied before. It can be divided into two: micro world, that is Veshti or I, and macro world, that is Samasti, the whole universe which we see and experience. So this micro world is a whole world inside. It is not one thing. It involves 5 sense organs, 5 organs of action, 5 pranas, that is like respiration, and mind, intellect, memory, etc. And it is like a car. It is like a car, and it has got many parts like wheel and steering wheel, etc. And it is not one thing. Similarly, our experience is also not one, and it is divided into 3 things, and that's why it is called as Avastha Trayam, or states of experience. We can divide the states of experience into 3, that is Jagrat or waking state, Swapna or dreaming state, Sushupti or deep sleep. I think this in most of the Indian languages it is the same. The example I can give is water. Water exists in 3 independent states, that is liquid, ice, and vapor state. But the same water molecule runs all through it. Just like a string runs through the garland, which is there in all the 3. And here the mind plays very important role. We will study this under 3 headings, that is the condition of the mind, that is in the experience, how the condition of the mind it will be, and nature of the experience, what experience we get, and third is what is the dominant medium or the tool through using which we experience. First, let us come to waking state or awake state. Here, the nature of experience is fully functional. The mind is fully functional, and we experience all faculties, that is emotional, rational thinking, ego, and memory. It will be all interconnected, and all forms of faculties are wide away. We can sense, we can react properly. All these are possible in the waking state. Here, the self identifies with the physical body or sthula shape. What is the tool or the medium? It is predominantly sensory organ based. That means uh, most of it is a sensory input, but here mind plays the very important role, because eyes, as we have studied previously, is just a tool of sensing, and real master is mind here. And the experience we get can be divided into two things. One is immediate response and others memory. If I want to explain with an example, you suddenly meet somebody, comes and says hi, you turn back and say hi. That is the immediate response, action or reaction. But as you see him, you get an impression in your mind. You put in his looks and how he is there and what is his response. And if he is very nice to you, next time you'll respond appropriately. Otherwise, if he picks your pocket and runs off, next time when you see him or similar kind, you'll be little careful. What this impression it makes or imprints in your mind, this is called as vasana or samskara. This is very important because this goes and runs through all your life and sometimes even janmas. Some people, say, like if 8 people are put in one room and picture what exactly that room contains and how it is, based on their culture and background, each person's impression will be totally different. And next, what will be the nature? We experience a world which is appears external to us. So it is a concrete and tangible thing. That means I can feel it, I can respond to it, it affects me, it pains me, it brings joy to me, etc. And it is always consistent. That means if I see something and my friends also, others also see similar thing, it is not that I see a car and other fellow see a bus. It will be similar thing, and it will be continuous. If I am waking, I experience something, I take a loan from somebody and I sleep, tomorrow also that loan will be there. It is not that that loan is already gone. And as I told before, this all is a sense organ based. This is about the waking state. Next, we will come to dream or swapna state. Here, the self identifies with the mind only. There is, but we also note that physical body is required. You can't have a a dream without a physical body. And here, memory faculties for alone is functioning. This, for example, is like a VCPR record player. Previously, we recorded the impressions and vasanas. This it will always plays in various combinations. And here, no new experience. You will never get a dream in which you have never experienced that thing. So always it will be some vague combination, but it will always be what you have seen and experienced. It is also a full-fledged world. In that dream, it affects you as good as in the waking state, but it is internal. Others can't see. Even the person who is sleeping next to you doesn't know what dream you have undergone. And dream world is not rational. As you see in this painting, that a boy is flying a moon like a kite. And uh, as I told you, it is never a new experience. Always it will be a combination of the things we have expressed. Sometimes what happens, suppressed vasana will come in the dream, and there is a big science which is studied by Carl Jung, which gathers what personality etc from the dream, or if the dream is troubling you, then he is able to think of your childhood, something has happened. It is non-consistent, inconsistent, and non-continuous. That means today you have some dream, tomorrow you will have different dream. And if some 4 or 5 persons are sleeping, all the dreams will be different. It is not, even if they are your friends or relatives or your own brother, the dream will not be same. And now let us come to deep sleep. Here there is no dream also. This is a part of a sleep cycle. And here the self identifies with the causal body or karana sharira. That means there is no identification with the physical body at all. As you see in this painting, both children are sleeping as if there is no end. And here there is no experience. That is, I know nothing. The always the person will be in blissful ignorance. Here, no new experience is possible, but a small amount of ego runs through it. That's why we can always say that, I slept well when we get up. Now, coming to recapitulate what we have studied, the states of mind or experience what we encounter, we can divide into waking, dream, and deep sleep. And here in waking, the dominant medium is body and mind, whereas in dream it is mind, and in deep sleep it is causal body. The nature of experience is external in waking, whereas in dream in internal, and in deep sleep it is nothing but pure ignorance and bliss. And there are some technical terms which we always often encounter. That is, a waking state of me is called Vishwa, whereas the world is Virat. Likewise, Taijasa, dream, Hiranyagarbha is the world, dream world. And deep sleep, Prajna and Antaryami. These are technical terms which we often encounter in mantras, and that's why we should remember. But these are all contextual and sometimes can be interchanged. And what is the palam of all this? Here, we should know that we are something other than this physical sharira trayam, that is the physical body, and even the experiences we encounter, we are other than this. We encounter many times when we react anger, sadness, or moments of joy. But we should remember that these are just like dew drops on the falling on the lotus. We are not these things, and we should be a neutral observer of it. And once we do in this state, we will find that these experiences do not affect us, and slowly we'll be able to feel it. This is useful in our practical life also, and when we are doing meditation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kiran. It is amazing to be able to give so much information in such a short time. Of course, these are all technical subjects, and it may not be possible to grasp it through a lecture in a moment. The study material will be given. This is the crux of Vedanta. You mentioned that when a person is fast asleep, you know one thing for sure, I slept well. You mentioned there's a small ego there. Our texts say that the one that was aware of that I slept well is the real me, about whom we are going to speak on in the next class. The Atma, the witness who is there, who's observing my waking world. I know I'm awake. The one who remembers my dream, and the one who does not know anything. Aham kimapina janami. I don't know anything during my sleep, but I know one thing for sure. I slept well. There is a witness who has been in and through all these three states. Again, I will open up for a few of our participants who may be able to unmute and ask me questions. This is not available for all. To get any little clarity on what Dr. Kiran spoke to us.
Good evening, Doctor. I'm Vindhya.
Who's that? I can't hear you.
Good evening, Doctor. I'm Vindhya.
Yes, Vindhya.
I'm a student of psychology at Christ University, and I have two questions. The first one is, so we're learning about dream, and I would like to know, why is dream so important in Vedanta?
Nowhere else is the dream concept made use of to understand our life and understand Vedantic principles, as in the school of Advaita Vedanta. Let me give you an example. For this, you have to relate to your own dream. Generally, we remember unpleasant dreams better than our pleasant dreams. Supposing we have a dream, I have a dream in which there is an animal that is chasing me. A dog or some big animal is chasing me. And in my dream, I experience an animal chasing me. I'm running, I scream, and then I wake up, everybody else. When I wake up, I feel my heart is pounding. But the moment I wake up, what happens? Suddenly the problem has disappeared. There is no animal, there is no dog that is chasing me. Now, all these experiences were 100% real when you were in a dream. While I was in a dream, although it was absolutely within my mind, my experience was completely real. I can say it is a dream only when I am awake. Vedanta makes use of this experience again and again to say just like I was the creator of my dream, and I never knew I was the creator of my dream. I had become a creature in my dream. So too Vedanta makes a fantastic, unbelievable statement that all we need to do to solve our problems of this world is to wake up. Those who, according to Vedanta, there are different levels of reality. One level of reality is the real experience of dream. You will say it is unreal only when you wake up. Those who are woken up, like our gurus, and who have the ability to wake us up, their only effort to us is wake up. If you are experiencing a lot of problems, if you are experiencing a lot of suffering, all you need to do is just wake up. That is why Swami Vivekananda says with such conviction, Uttishtata Jagrata, arise awake, because that is the only solution. Just like when you wake up from a nightmare, the problems have dissolved, the problems have disappeared. So too, it looks so magical that when you wake up from this level of understanding to a higher level of a realization, the problems of the world become insignificant. Very difficult to believe, but this is the conviction of Vedanta. It is not something theoretical. This is something all of us are entitled to experience. We are here to wake up. Any more questions?
Yeah, based on that, Doctor, how do we wake up? Like, there's so much. Based on that, like, how do we wake up? Meaning, there's so much suffering and injustice in this world. So, how do we make sense of it?
How do we make sense of this? As I said, see, what do we try to do? We try to solve one problem or the other. Today we have this problem of the pandemic, so we try to find a vaccine, we try to protect ourselves. So whenever there is a problem, we have a short-sighted method of solving the problem. Vedanta has a method of dissolving the problem. Dissolving the problem is just like when you wake up from your dream, you're not going to find that snake or that animal that has chasing you and say, how I can deal with that. That problem is gone. So too, Vedanta is very clear. All that we need to do is to wake up. And once we wake up, we come into a newer level. We still continue to have the problem of China and Corona, but now you have become so big that you are no longer affected by any of these problems. For want of time, I will stop the discussion. I will go into one more topic. But even before I go to the next topic, which is extremely important, called the Panchakosha, and I would just like you to do 1 minute of open eye meditation. Open eye meditation is a state when you become aware of the gift of this moment. Feel your body. If there is tension in any part of your body, just allow your bodies to relax. Observe your mind. And the more you observe your mind, you will see there will be less and less thoughts. I will invite Dr. Ravi Shankar, a very popular and a very excellent orthopedic surgeon practicing in Bangalore, to explain to us what is this Kosha Panchakam.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Thank you, sir, for asking me to explain the Kosha Panchakam. It's also called as the Panchakosham. Vedanta wants us to know with absolute conviction the sublime truth, and that is the Brahman or the Atman. The methodology used is called as Prakriya. You have already now understood the three bodies, the three states, and now it's time for us to go on to the 5 sheaths. Kosha Panchakam, or the 5 sheaths, is a discrimination of the Tattva and is called as Tattva Viveka. What does that mean? The knower, is different from the body with which we falsely identify. This is very well explained in the Tattva Bodha as well as in the Bhrugavali of the Taittiriya Upanishad. Koshaha means a sheath and Mayaha is a modification. This division is based on function. Like the 5 dolls that fit well into each other, and like the sword that fits perfectly well in its scabbard, the koshas have to be discriminated. The question asked is, Panchakoshaha ke? what are these panchakoshas. From the outer to the inner circle, as you move on, you see they are the annamaya kosha, the pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, and the anandamaya kosha. The next slide will show you that the pure consciousness deep within is explained as all-pervading, in and through, and inside the sheath. And this in and through and all-pervading is very often explained by our Guru to understand it. Let's quickly look at the salient features of each of these koshas. It reminds me of our college days in the School of Medicine, where they were so beautifully, so nicely explained in a stepwise manner. The Annamaya kosha is the anatomical system. It's the structure of the body. It is born, nourished, and merges with the essence of Annam, that is the food. The Pranamaya kosha, it is a physiological or a functional sheath. It's the energy sheath. It is the Kriya Shakti in us. It has got the Pancha Pranas, the Pancha Karmendriyas. Remember, this Prana kosha, in addition to the next two, that is the Manomaya and the Vijnanamaya kosha, leave the Annamaya kosha at the time of death. Now, what is the Manomaya kosha? It is the mind, the psychological aspect. It is filled with emotions and doubts. It's our psychological personality. It is the Ichcha Shakti. It is the Pancha Jnanendriyas, which include the Chitta and the Ahankara in the form of the mind. So Pancha Jnanendriyas and the Pancha Pranas together form the Panchamaya kosha. What is the Vijnanamaya kosha? It is our intellectual layer. It is our knowing personality. The cognitive aspect, the judging or the weighing aspect is the intellectual layer. It is the Jnana Shakti, the Pancha Jnanendriyas and the Chitta and the Ahankara in the form of the Buddhi. So we have the Vijnanamaya kosha which knows, the Manomaya kosha which desires, the Pranamaya kosha which acts, and the Annamaya kosha performs those acts. It's very clear, I'm sure, in your mind that the thinking function is the Buddhi, the emotional function is called as the Manas, and the memory function is called as the Chitta. What then is the Anandamaya kosha? It is the dormant, unconscious personality. It is expressed at different kala and desha. What does it mean? At different times and places and situation. It is unknown. It is blissfully ignorant. You would remember that Dr. Kiran also mentioned this term, blissfully ignorant, and we'll come to it. This is the Karana Sharira. To sum them, as a ready reckoner, you have the kosha attributes. On the left hand of your screen is the Annamaya kosha, and on the right hand of your screen is the Anandamaya kosha. They are all an apparent sheath. The food apparent, air apparent sheath, mind stuff apparent sheath, wisdom stuff apparent sheath, bliss apparent sheath. And then you have the physical, energy, mental, or the bliss body. They move from the physical to the subtle aspects. If you want to compare what you have studied in the first few talks and this, the avasthas versus the sharira. The Jagrat avastha is the sthula sharira pradhana. The swapna avastha is sukshma sharira pradhana. Sushupti avastha is karana sharira pradhana. If you want to now have a look at what is the sharira versus the kosha, the sthula sharira is the annamaya kosha, sukshma sharira is the pranamaya plus manomaya plus vijnanamaya kosha, and the karana sharira is the anandamaya kosha. The terms may look a little difficult immediately for you, but if you go through it with a quiet mind, it's very easy to understand. So the purpose of the study of this Panchakoshas is well explained in the 38th verse of Tattva Bodha. My mind, my vital breath, my body, my intellect, and my ignorance, the word ignorance comes here again, cannot be myself. What does this mean? This means, and this needs a little explanation, and it is subtle. The bliss sheath is established in ignorance. It is the nature of the Karana Sharira, or the causal body. It is impure in nature. And when it is united with the thoughts of Priya, something that you like, it forms the Anandamaya Kosha. It is clear to understand that at night, the world is enveloped in darkness. In deep sleep, all the dualities of ego, anxiety, the world, the gross body and the subtle body merge into ignorance. As the water, which is very still, reflects better, the mind can be more reflective and sensitive and subtle when it is clear, and it reflects the ananda of pure consciousness. Ignorance makes it impure. It is called in this verse, the word used is ajnanamiti. The ornaments worn are different from oneself. When we use ornaments, it says it's my ornament. So I am different from this ornament. Exactly the same way, all the ones that are mentioned above are different from the self with a capital S. This is the subtle aspect of Panchakosha Viveka and Panchakosha meditation. It is a relatively easy prakriya to understand pure consciousness. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ravi Shankar, for a really brilliant explanation of a very difficult topic. And in a way, you have summarized the three bodies through your explanation. I will do again the same process of a little interaction with some of them who can unmute and ask me to bring about a little clarity. What is this Panchakosha all about? Who will ask me?
Hari Om, Namaste. Doctor, you've been talking about these different layers, no? And I know you study about the human body. So could you share a little more scientific approach to all of this?
Scientifically, we can study only the Annamaya or the gross body itself. Remember, these are only concepts given by the ancient rishis. Pranamaya may be through physiology, but beyond that, through scientific exploration, we do not have tools for all this. But those who have studied medicine and who look into these texts are able to see the brilliance of the ancient rishis in how they are able to bring an understanding of the human body to help us. It is just like this. Now, supposing you have to do a very fine microsurgery in the brain. Sometimes when we operate under very high magnification, at that time, the instrument that we need to use have to be extremely refined. Supposing the operating nurse gives you a crude instrument, it is too big in the field. You need an extremely delicate instrument to perform a very delicate surgery. So too, the teachers have a methodology of making the instrument very delicate. What is the instrument that we have is our mind. Our mind is now subtle or trained for gross things. It is just like when you go from the second standard to the fourth standard to the ninth standard, the same subject, but the mind is now refined so that now the child is able to understand mathematics in a certain way. So through Annamaya, through Pranamaya, through Manomaya, through Vijnanamaya, through meditation and through understanding, the mind becomes more and more refined to understand what we are going to speak in the next week's topic about the Atma or the real me. The real me is not material, and thereby you need to have a certain understanding or the sensitization of the mind that comes through knowledge, that comes through meditative practices. Any other questions you have?
After knowing all of this, like after listening to all these, that we have these different layers, what is the relevance of all of this in day-to-day life?
The practical relevance really now, what are we studying all this so that when we learn these Panchakosha in the Gita or the Upanishads or any of the texts, immediately my mind knows what I am talking about. Remember, let us not dwell too much into all these details. It is only to help us to understand our body to a certain extent. You know, through these lectures, it is extremely difficult. But if you are a serious student of Vedanta, I would suggest we will give you more text material. I will refer you to certain other sites also where these topics become very clear. Ultimately, when you know this aspect of the body, you will understand, as Dr. Ravi Shankar spoke about the last verse of Tattva Bodha, the real me is someone other than the body. Then what happens? You have seen a pole vaulter using a pole to vault. Once the person reaches a particular height, what does the person necessarily have to do?
He lets go of the pole.
Has to necessarily let go of the pole. The pole is all these anatma part. You mean a day comes when you have to let go even the scriptures, when you have to let go even the teacher. That is when that you go up. We have run out of time. Thank you for all your questions. I will recommend a few sites that we could study. The Arsha Avinash site, where all Swamiji's talks are transcribed. That is where we have got the notes for you. There's another wonderful site called explorevedanta.com, where a group of people have brought in Swami Param's talks in a very tabular form. So when there is gross body, subtle body, causal body, all these koshas are very nicely listed. There is also an Arsha Bodha site by Swami Paramarthananda of New Jersey. Amazing site, where the same things he has presented in a wonderful manner. Visit his talks on YouTube. I would recommend that. Yoga Malika, where Swami Param, our guru, gives his talks every week. And finally, I have an invitation for you on the 5th of July. The 5th of July, our talk started on the 5th of June. Exactly on 5th of July, which is a Sunday, is also called Guru Purnima. There are only 2 days which are extremely important for a student of Vedanta. One is Shivaratri. We do a lot of preparation before Shivaratri to prepare us for Shivaratri. The second is Guru Purnima. Who is a guru? A guru is an awakened person who has gone into the highest level of realization. He lives in this world, but he does not belong to this world. Only a guru can help us to wake up. And for that guru who helps us to awaken, what kind of thanksgiving we can give. And that is the day for us to offer reverence. On that particular day, I invite you to join our regular batch where we will make a small offering to the Guru, and I will introduce you to a new Upanishad called Kaivalya Upanishad. That means immediately about 10 days from now, we will enter into the world of the Upanishads where all these terms come and you will have a very clearer understanding. I'll conclude with 2 slides which goes like this, which sum up all this what we have said. Bhagavan Sri Ramana summed up all Vedanta in this word which says, Naham Deham Koham Soham. Naham Deham means I am not this body. If I am not this body and a person of his eminence tells you with all confidence that you are not the body, the next question comes Koham. Koham means can I inquire with the help of Guru and Shastra? If I am not the body, then who am I? And the answer through the scriptures come as Saha Aham Asmi. I am that. That answer will come in the next class. Adi Shankara, in a very popular Nirvana Shatakam, had said, Mano Buddhi Hankara Chittana Ninaham. I am not all this what I can see and experience. I'm not this body, mind, so on. Then what am I? Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham, which we will study in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhak Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Venkatesh.
Thank you all for a patient listening. I wish to thank all speakers, Dr. Sanjay Mehrotra, Dr. Kiran, and Dr. Ravishankar for their excellent presentations. My thanks are also due to Dr. Ahalya for her brilliant answers to your questions. Thank you, Dr. Hegde sir, for your smooth navigation of all topics as always, and for your most convincing answers to a few questions asked in the class. Friends, tonight before you go to bed, if the questions like who is going to sleep, where will I be in sleep, who is it that sees the dream and take part in the dream, what will be my state in my dream, deep sleep, and when I am awake haunt you, please feel happy you are in the right direction. Chat options is enabled. It will be open for quite some time. Kindly type your questions and doubts. Will be taken up in your next session. For now, good night to many of you, and all of us have an excellent day. Looking forward to meet you next Friday. Same time, please log in before 6:45 p.m. local time Thank you once again. Hari Om.